If you're taking your job search seriously, you're starting to network, and there are various people that you can network with. But there's one person that you're probably not networking with, which, if you did, it will change the way you job search. You would get multiple referrals, recommendations, invitations to interviews. And the problem you would have is having too many offers and not knowing which one to accept. Now, that's a good problem to have, and I want you to have that problem. So, who am I talking about? Who do you need to network with? Cross-functional stakeholders. Now, what are cross-functional stakeholders? I want you to imagine that if you decided to network your way into a job, you would probably start with hiring managers, recruiters, hell, maybe even people doing the job, which, if you follow my content, I talk a lot about. Connect with people doing the job. Sure, that works. Really great thing to do. But the challenge you might have is these people get a lot of messages, especially hiring managers. They get about 500 messages a day. So you need to stick out from the crowd. So you need to get a little bit more intelligent with your approach. Now, cross-functional stakeholders are employees in the company that you may be targeting doing a completely different job. Let's assume you're a data analyst and you decide, I'm going to reach out to a project manager. I'm going to ask about projects. I'm going to ask about company culture. I'm going to get to know what the company's about. I'm going to get to know what this company really looks for. I'm going to then ask that person if they could recommend me to somebody they know who can then connect me to a data analyst or a hiring manager or a senior data analyst to then refer me into the role. Now, your job search isn't a straight line. It's not apply, wait, and get a job. You know that. I know that. That doesn't work anymore. We're not in the 90s. We're in the present day right now. There's so many different things you can do. You can work on your LinkedIn. You can reach out to people. You could improve the way your LinkedIn looks. You can improve your communication ability. There are so many different things and facets to your job search that you're only using one when there's 17 other things you can do. So, cross-functional stakeholders. What do we do with these people? Well, we ask questions, and we ask intelligent questions. We do not send messages like, hey, any jobs? Probably not going to cut it. What we do want to ask is, when it comes to hiring individuals who, let's say if you're an international job seeker from an international background, what is the one key metric of success? When it's about soft skills, let's say you're very good at adaptability. You want to ask these people, as a soft skill, adaptability, would you say that's one of the main drivers for acquiring new staff or entry level staff? Let's assume that you're a teacher changing job from teaching to whatever job, insert job title here. You can ask questions about what is the main transferable skill. The more questions you ask, the more intelligent they are, the more viable they are to your genuine actual inquiry. So don't say, hey, what's the day to day like? They hear that question a lot. So you're going to stick out like nobody. But to stick out like a sore thumb, you want to be able to ask intelligent questions that actually get people responding to you. Now, your networking isn't just about sending a magical question and hoping for the best. Anybody can do that. We have tools like AI, we have tools like email sourcing software and templates available genuinely for free if you know where to look. But having a structure is what is going to set you apart. Now, if you need a structure, there's a link in the description. You can book a call with me and we can talk a little bit about how that can work. But I digress. For you to think about how you can do this yourself, you need to understand what your networking journey looks like. So let's say you're dealing with cross-functional stakeholders. You're going to reach out to somebody. Your first point is to get a connection, not to get a reply, just get a connection with this person, preferably using LinkedIn. So you send them an ad note that's relatively easy to consider. Nothing like, hey, name, I'm amazing. Here's a novel about my story. Do not send an email with 300 layers of who you are and what you like to eat for breakfast. Nobody cares. But sending a message that gets an acceptance. That's your step one. Your step two is to provide context via a question so that person knows that your question relates to your job search. And then, depending on your reply, your step three should be to validate what they say. Let's assume that they give you some advice. They say, hey, great question. Here's an answer. Your job is to then validate that answer to getting a meeting. For example, if they say, well, the soft skill is adaptability, your job now is to reply to then use that to get a meeting. I'm so glad you mentioned adaptability. I have that like nobody's business, would love to get a meeting to see if the rest of my skill set could be a potential fit for a recommendation. Now, not a referral, but a recommendation. Because if these people like you and they see that you're going to be a good fit, they are more than happy to refer you and recommend you because there's a financial incentive for cross-functional stakeholders. They will give you access to hiring teams and vouch for you if you ask good questions. If they like you and if they can see that you're going to be a genuinely good fit, they're more than happy to do that. Not everybody, there is no one size fits all. There are exceptions to every rule. However, the more attention you garner to your profile with intelligent questions to people who work in different types of positions within your target company, the more outside of the box you think, the more likely they will respond. The more connections you get, the more LinkedIn's algorithm will start to look at your profile and think, oh, there's something here with this candidate. They're actually connecting to more people. There's engagement. Also, another thing to think about, and I'll do this in another video, is the more connections you get, the more engagement that there is on your LinkedIn, the algorithm will actually prioritize your profile. This means you should not spam. Do not spam one-liner messages, as in mail messages or ad notes in your LinkedIn, because if you get 100 attempted connections and you get 40 people accepting, but then there's no replies because the quality of your message is really bad, then LinkedIn's going to think you spam people. I'm not going to say they're going to shadow ban you, but it's not going to be good for your algorithmic score. Now, LinkedIn has a score called an SSI score, stands for Social Selling Index. This is something you want to think about. I'm going to do a video on this that goes into a little bit more detail about that, how to prioritize that and improve that score. But back to stakeholders who are cross-functional, meaning other employees in the company. If you have a target company, let's assume it's Microsoft. You want to work in Microsoft as a data analyst. There are 50 titles of jobs that I can think of where you can connect. It doesn't have to be just hiring managers. It doesn't have to be just recruiters. It could be people who are doing a different job, because people know hiring teams. They know what the company looks for. They've been in interviews. They understand how to pass them. They know where the company is going. Yes, many companies are firing people, sure, but when they fire people, they also still hire less, but they still do, which means that if you're going to rely on traditional applications, you're going to be left by the wayside. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to get multiple opportunities, multiple offers, where the only problem is not knowing which one to accept. Now, if you want that problem, link in the description, reach out to me. More than happy to help. There's a link to the How to Job Plus platform where you and I can work together. I can create a strategy where you know who to deal with, who to reach out to, what to say. More than happy to talk you through that. We have an application process for that program. I work with 10 people a week. I'm very picky about who I work with. Would love to work with you if we're the right fit. You can also connect to my LinkedIn in the description as well. And also let me know about this video. I've started to spend a little bit of time on editing. If you like the editing style, let me know in the comments. If you don't, if you like me just talking to you without any editing, let me know in the comments. And also, last but not least, like and subscribe. Costs you nothing, means the world to me. I'll see you on the next one.